It would seem that a bank is a good place to keep your money. Hardly anyone would think of the secrets lurking behind the walls of this financial institution. Except that billionaire Henry Ford claimed, "It's a good thing a lot of people don't know how the banking system works, because that would lead to a revolution." The level of financial education is still not that high, and this is one of the reasons for the great wealth disparity in the world. You cannot get rich unless you know how to handle money. Today, I'll share with you the banking secrets that only rich people know. How do banks make money on you, and what is best to do with the money so it doesn't fall into the pockets of greedy bankers? You can find out right now. Welcome to the main channel on finance. Subscribe right now if you dream of getting rich. As far back as the 7th century BC, the prosperous city of Babylon had its first bankers who lent money at interest. It was then that the first banknotes appeared, and they were the same value as gold. The word bank has Italian roots and comes from banco, which means table. Originally, banks dealt with exchanging large money into small, exchanging coins, and other operations with cash. But with development of economies of the different countries, initial offices essentially extended the list of the services provided. The first private official bank in the world is considered to be a cartel of private usurers from Genoa, united in the partnership of St. George in the 12th century. The bank is given the first large credit to authorities of Genoa Republic for the war in 1148, and those, in turn, on account of write-off of the saved-up debts, authorized partnership to collect some taxes from citizens. Until 1407, the internal policy of the organization was formed, after which the Bank of St. George was officially formed. Back then, people started to have a dual attitude to the banking system. On the one hand, it was a solid and conventional financial tool. But on the other hand, everyone considered bankers as greedy or cunning swindlers. Moreover, moneylenders were deprived of communion and normal Christian burial. It's hard to say that in modern times, in people's minds, the attitude towards bankers has changed dramatically. This situation is quite justified, because the banking system and the principles of its operation still cause distrust. There's no doubt that even your bank has secrets, and now I will tell you more about them. Banks don't store money. Deposits are often advertised as one of the most reliable tools for passive income. The only problem is that in many countries this option of income simply doesn't work. After all, the interest rate of the deposit will never cover the inflation rate. For example, according to statistics for 2020, the top banks in Switzerland offer a deposit interest rate of no more than 0.5 to 1.5%, while the average inflation rate is 1.5 to 2%. We can conclude that your income will be completely eaten up by inflation. Banks often intentionally lower interest rates because they don't benefit from your wealth. However, it is profitable for them to keep this money because by allowing people to open deposits at a smaller interest rate, they give this money to other clients in the form of loans with a slightly higher interest rate, making money on the difference between the two interest rates. Besides, the authorities are also interested in such manipulations with your money. The banks make their money circulate. This means that not only the owner has access to the deposit, the government now also has some level of control over the citizens' money, which is why the super rich are looking for ways to protect their wealth. Biggest customers of banks are the banks. Banks exist to serve themselves. Serving other customers is secondary. All money deposited into a bank becomes its asset. All money borrowed from the bank remains its asset. The bank is in an almost win-win position. Therefore, it always acts in its own interest. Banks will never fight for the person who keeps the money in them. They fight for more interest and control. The fact is that once you're in the bank, your money is no longer just your property. It also becomes an asset of the bank. A bank's credit limit always depends on how many deposits it holds, and the ratio is always unfair. Banks don't give money to people who look poor. Bankers are the most impeccably dressed professionals in the world, and they, consciously or unconsciously, judge the appearance of those around them. If a customer doesn't look good, the bank won't want to give them a loan. If the borrower looks like they need the money, they probably won't get it. If they look like they don't need it at all, they will probably get what they want. The only exception to this rule is having a bank account. In that case, the staff can find out for sure if the person is really rich. But if there is no account, they will assess customers by their appearance and draw conclusions based on it fairly quickly. Bankers get an annual bonus for loans issued. Of course, the bonus does not go to all employees, but only to those who are responsible for issuing loans. As a rule, they are managers, and this is not a bad thing. The bonus depends on the loans granted. Of course, they should not be unreliable. Everyone at the bank wants an extra payout at the end of the year, which is why they may be more willing to approve applications closer to that time. More often than not, this happens unknowingly. At the beginning of the year, the manager feels no pressure to approve loans. But toward the end of the year, there is a fear of losing the bonus by not approving enough applications. In addition, no one wants to be labeled as incompetent. Thus, if the customer doesn't get the money, the bank employee will miss out on the yearly bonus. This is how rich people use it. They come to the bank to get the maximum possible amount because they have the necessary collateral and credibility. Banks make money on you and your name. Banks have a very valuable resource, a database of clients, and they successfully convert this one into new offers, increasing their profits. In addition, it's not uncommon for banks to secretly sell their customer bases to other financial institutions. For example, to offices that engage in microcredit, or even to scammers. It all depends on how conscientious employees of the bank are. We should also mention the commission fees charged on your credit cards. Here are 2 ways to cash in on you. Offer you a card with a particular status, for which you have to pay a fee. Or they can charge you a so-called shadow tax. You are simply charged for using your credit card. This is done completely unnoticed by you. After all, when you buy goods by credit card, the tax should be imposed on the seller. The seller, in turn, inflates the price of the goods, and as a result, you are essentially paying the shadow tax. Better terms for the rich. Banks are businesses just like any other business. They have shareholders to whom they are accountable. If the business model isn't profitable, they won't survive. That's why they are much more comfortable lending money to a rich person than to a poorer person. This is because if the rich person can't pay back the loan, they could sell part of their business to pay it back. Also, banks do this to make sure they can get a loan from a rich person in case the bank goes bankrupt. Manage your finances properly. The information I shared today, of course, does not urge you to give up working with banks completely. It's just worth thinking about some aspects of managing your personal finance. For example, instead of making a deposit, maybe it's better to invest your money or invest it in a business. And instead of using your credit card, it's sometimes better to pay in cash so as not to become a victim of shadow tax. Don't let the system fool you, as it's the only way to get rich today. And that's it for today. It's the main channel on finance. Subscribe and get rich.